Hi guys, welcome to week 3. We're making it through this class. Time's flying by. This was actually my first week 2 class, and I'm thankful for everybody helping me to catch up on some of the stuff that I had missed. It's hard to miss the first couple classes, but again, I was away on a family emergency, and I really appreciate everybody's help. It was a bit intimidating coming into this class, but I had a good time. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we went over this week in class. This was for week starting 9/9 of 08. So this is my first real podcast about my class. We were able to go over position, velocity, and time graphs. And David helped us to understand how each graph is kind of related and what each graph represents. During the first couple of classes, again, everybody was able to have the motion detector class demo, and they talked a little bit about negative and positive velocity and acceleration, as well as the position versus time. A couple little things that I wrote down in my journal that I thought were kind of interesting. I'm really liking keeping this journal. It's been kind of neat to look back and reflect about some of the things that I've learned and things that I need to learn. So I've been journaling and kind of keeping up since my first day in class. One for the position graph was, if you think about throwing a ball up and coming down, a lot of times that's an indicator of position, which I thought was kind of cool. He gave us various examples, and that was kind of a parabola graph. This one was more of a triangular shaped graph, and it was like tossing a ball against a wall, having it go fast towards the wall and then bounce off the wall and then come back quickly towards you. Another one was dropping a ball and it bounces back up, and it looked kind of like a V-shaped graph. And then another one that had just kind of a downward slope, and this was basically stomping on the gas and then a quick break, which was neat. So just a couple little ideas of things that we did in class. We reviewed the graphs that I just spoke about and discussed graphs in a group. We talked about velocity with a group and acceleration. We also discussed force. Force explains the interactions between two objects. The object can interact with several other objects, but mainly with two objects. There is a link between energy and force, but they are different entities. One thing that really helped me about force was learning the third law of reciprocity. That was kind of an interesting concept to me because I had never really thought about two objects having equal force, such as a bug and a car. They have equal force, which seems almost a bit ridiculous because the outcome is so different for the bug than it is for a car hitting the bug hitting the windshield versus how it affects the car. So it was a neat way of thinking, just a different way of thinking for me, something that I hadn't really pondered on. So again, we went over those laws. Our groups also discussed weight versus mass versus density. And 3 words that I have thought I knew forever and was very comfortable with their description, they actually turned out to be a little bit different than what I thought. Massically thinking how much stuff there is in an object. It's kind of the whole entire of it. Weight is a measure relating to Earth and kind of the gravitational pull of Earth. And density is how much mass can be packed into a given volume. So if you think about that, each of those is distinct and different, and just something to think about. Also, when I was out of class, I tried catching up on my journal and kind of catching up on everything I was doing. Learned a bit about the ePort and set my ePort up, which I need to get my podcast onto the ePort so that David's able to see them. And also tried to catch up on just a little bit of general reading about physics and kind of where physics came from. They talked a lot about in class and on some of the quizzes previously if physics is real, and why do we think it's real, and what does physics do, and theories and all that type of stuff, which was kind of interesting. In our second class this week, we talked about car racing, and we recorded and took some pictures and worked with Logger Pro, which I'm not feeling 100% confident with, but that's why we're here. We're learning. We went over a situation diagram as well as the motion and force diagram. The motion diagram made sense as well as situation diagram, and I just am now starting to understand the force diagram a little bit better. We proceeded to discuss performance expectations and some of the things we'll be expected to have in our technical instruction manual, which is our Project 1, as well as our multimedia presentation, which is another part of Project 1. It seems that I'm going to become a little bit more comfortable working with the computer, as this is something that is very foreign to me. So I know this will eventually come in handy when I am hopefully one day operating a business in my field of study. So I hope that everyone had a good week this week, and I look forward to the 4th week.